A change from the usual post, but I felt this was important as many parents in the UK are being impacted by false diagnosis and reports. This was in 2012, but it is still happening today and needs a serious investigation.
Is now being investigated over shocking suggestions he distorted the assessments to fit the view of social services. Lib Dem MP writes to Justice Secretary Ken Clarke demanding a full parliamentary inquiry. Extraordinarily, Dr. George Hibbert faces claims he deliberately misdiagnosed parents with mental disorders, decisions which meant their children were taken away from them. A leading psychiatrist faces extraordinary claims he deliberately misdiagnosed parents with mental disorders, decisions which meant their children were taken away from them. Dr. George Hibbert faces being struck off over his conclusions that hundreds had personality disorders after assessing them at his private family centre. He was paid thousands of pounds by social services for the reports which tore children from their parents, many of them young mothers. He is now being investigated over shocking suggestions he distorted the assessments to fit the views of social services. In one case, he is alleged to have wrongly misdiagnosed a caring new mother, named only as Miss A, with bipolar disorder because her local authority wanted the baby adopted. After being confronted with this allegation, Dr. Hibbert offered to surrender his license to the practice as a doctor rather than face a General Medical Council inquiry. But his request has been rejected by the GMC, which says there are still unresolved concerns regarding his fitness to practice. He will now face a full fitness to practice hearing. Yesterday, John Hemming MP, who had raised concerns about Dr. Hibbert in Parliament, described the claims as shocking. The Lib Dem MP, alerted by a whistleblower, said he had since spoken to 3 or 4 other families who said the same had happened to them. He had written to Justice Secretary Ken Clarke, demanded a full parliamentary inquiry. Mr. Hemming said he is someone about whom a number of people have complained. I am told that at least one person has refused to work for him because of what she saw as his unethical provision of reports to suit the demands of local authorities. Social services, should we say. Rich. This was a rich guy. He had 2 Porsches. They can be seen outside the home of Dr. Hibbert near Swindon. At least at one point in 2010, when he had 11 residents in the centre at one time, Dr. Hibbert was raking in more than £40,000 a week. Much of the decision-making in care proceedings rests on reports from experts. Much of the decision-making in care proceedings rests on reports from experts such as Dr. Hibbert, he told Parliament. He added that supposedly independent experts such as Dr. Hibbert, 59, were often little more than the hired gun of the local authority. The lack of transparency over such experts was leading to thousands of miscarriages of justice in care proceedings. This is an article from in relation to one of the parents who complained about his conduct. She said, "It seemed like nobody got out without their baby being taken away. Miss A was sent to Dr. Hibbert's assessment centre with her son when he was only 8 weeks old. She had been staying at a mother and baby unit in Staffordshire because of concerns about her violent ex-partner. Staff there said Miss A showed care and consistency to her son, and there was no evidence of any psychotic illness, including bipolar disorder. But after going to Dr. Hibbert's centre, Miss A said she quickly realised that almost nobody was allowed to leave with their baby. I started to panic," she said. "It seemed like no one ever got out without their baby being taken away. Their baby, you would see them screaming and crying, begging not to have their baby taken away." She said that the centre was like a boot camp and added, "They made us clean toilets, get up and go to bed at a certain time, and they made notes on everything we did." When her assessment period was over, Dr. Hibbert told her she had bipolar disorder and had to stay 12 more weeks so they could put her on the correct medication. "By that time, I just wanted to get out of there," she said. "I said if I needed treatment, I wanted to go back to the mother and baby unit so I could be close to my other children." He seemed angry when I told him that. "If I had stayed with him, he would have been able to make more money out of me." A few days later, Miss A was told that she had to go immediately, leaving her baby, now 4 months old, behind. Distressed and not knowing where to go, she returned to the mother and baby unit. She was assessed by 2 psychiatrists and both said she did not have bipolar disorder. One, Dr. Christina Hofberg, wrote a damning response to Dr. Hibbert's report on Miss A, saying it was littered with exaggerations. She dismissed his examples of her manic behaviour, including the fact that she often went shopping for clothes and books and enjoyed baking cakes as normal behaviour. She said the fact that Miss A was talkative was not an indication of a disorder, nor was the fact that she shops or likes books. She also said Dr. Hibbert had written the report as if Miss A had abandoned her baby, when in fact she had been ordered to leave. She asked why Miss A was told she had to leave the centre alone with no warning if Dr. Hibbert believed that she had significant mental health needs. It seemed like nobody got out without their baby being taken away. Earlier this week, a study for the Family Justice Council revealed how life-changing decisions about the care of children are routinely being made on the basis of flawed evidence. A fifth of experts who advised the family courts are unqualified. Dr. Hibbert charged local authorities £6,000 a week for every family in his care and £2,010 an hour just to read documents such as medical records. By 2007, his company, Assessment in Care, was making profits of around £460,000 a year from his lucrative arrangement with social services. He is now worth more than $2.7 million. Last night, a black Porsche Turbo, thought to be worth around $120,000, and a grey Porsche 911 Carrera, worth around £80,000, were parked on the gravel driveway outside his £500,000 country cottage. A former honorary lecturer at Oxford University, who had previously advised the government on care assessments, Dr. Hibbert left the NHS to set up his private assessment centre in 2000. Since then, hundreds of parents in contact with social services, usually mothers and babies, have been referred to his centre to be assessed. Concerns were first raised in 2007, when mother Miss A complained that Dr. Hibbert had wrongly diagnosed her with bipolar disorder. One consultant psychiatrist accused Dr. Hibbert of having no evidence for some of his claims and of deliberately exaggerating and misrepresenting aspects of the woman's behaviour. Her report is among a number of documents being examined by the GMC with regards to Dr. Hibbert. Miss A, who has seen her son just a few times since Dr. Hibbert was said Dr. Hibbert was corrupt and evil. Nothing will ever make up for what he has done to me and my child, said Miss A. I want to make sure this man is exposed and that he can never do this to anyone else. In a letter sent to Miss A GMC investigations officer confirmed Dr. Hibbert has now applied for voluntary erasure from the medical register. The letter continued, he has no intention of returning to clinical practice in the future. However, the GMC offer concluded it was in the public interest for his request to be denied in view of the nature of the performance allegations and in view of the conduct concerns. He has not been available for comment at his 2-storey detached cottage in a small village of Blunsdon near Swindon. His assessment centre next to his home appears to be closed. Family courts and how incompetent and highly paid so-called experts are failing children. A spokesman for Dr. Hibbert at the Medical Protection Society for Indemnity Organisation for Doctors said professional confidentiality meant Dr. Hibbert was unable to comment on allegations raised in relation to the care of patients. They believe that this is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just the tip of the iceberg. This is just only a small fraction of the amount of corruption and misconduct that goes on within social services. They're in cahoots together. They work together. This is an old article, by the way, but there are multiple cases the same. They use professionals that they know are going to be biased in favour of them to write false reports and make fake diagnoses on parents so social services can get what they want, which is to rip children away from their parents. You need to take a stand, people. You need to get up, take a stand. Take a stand. Make complaints if you feel that you're not being treated correctly, or you feel like record all your meetings, record everything, make a complaint, put it in writing. Stand up for yourself and your families. Don't go to any assessments that are the social services